Okay, so I am back. Welcome back to me. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're gonna do some reaction video. Let me just set up OBS real quick. Where is it? Browser. Here you go. And here you. Where is it? Uh, Here you go. We're gonna do some reaction. I have like a couple videos that like I really want to fucking like get into, like that I really wanted to watch. So you'll come for the ride, right? All right, let's check this out. So this first one, the first one is well, Russ Cole, a character that like people maybe forgot. I never did. Like it's basically the waifu of like the fucking like husbando of like the TV shows like of cinema. Like this character from like True Detective is actually like really like impressive when it comes to like just like the vibe, but also like the themes of and the philosophy of the dude Rust Cole. So basically True Detective, if you don't know, is a story about like is a TV show about like some two detectives that like reunites after like years or decades to solve a crime, right? And one is really like emotional, like kind of like like the uh, acting before thinking type of cop, and the other is really like this really like really intellectual, really intellectual and like a deep type of character. You can find like a character similar in true like Criminal Minds. There is like a character kind of like him, but this one is like the difference between this one and the other one, so between Russ Cole and let me check, um uh Russ Cole and yeah, it's Spencer Reed. Basically it's someone like that, kind of like has the same a similar vibe to Spencer Reed, but the difference is that Russ Cole is a pure pessimist, is a fatalist, is not like the happy dude that actually Spencer Reed is. To give you like this comparison, like I don't really like see, maybe like there is most likely like others, well, like at this point we are like at the Joker level type of like just like mm, just like um mm, just like we're like Joker level type of like philosophy of just like, well, try to avoid the term pessimism because it's the name of the video, but like basically of pessimism, but also like non-belief in like hope, like hopelessness, but intellectual hopelessness, like not a stupid hopelessness that is just like things are bad, like things are bad and life is shit. No, it's just I kind of studied, like I checked out what's life about, and I saw the people that we actually have to live with, and now, from my calculations, I don't think that like we're gonna make it. Like that we're gonna build a better future, like people fucking talk. So let's check this out. I'm actually really curious to check this video out. So Russ Cole, my name, like I completely forgot, but like really fascinating guy. By the way, if you didn't watch True Detective, good suggestion. You should definitely watch it. I wanted to rewatch it just because of Rust Cool, actually, because of Rust Cool and like just the whole vibe of the show. it's dark, it's grim, and it's like, anyway.
Look, I'd consider myself a realist, all right? But in philosophical terms, I'm what's called a pessimist.
Okay, what's that mean?
Means I'm bad at parties.
He also has like this self-deprecating sense of humor that I really like. That is really like really well thought out.
I think human consciousness was a tragic misstep in evolution. We became too self-aware. Nature created an aspect of nature separate from itself. We are creatures that should not exist by natural law.
Well, that sounds god-fucking awful, Rush.
We are things that labor under the illusion of having a self.
And so this guy is actually like kind of like his counterpart is kind of like the dude that actually like is this really like thing before do before thinking, like really emotional guy that does not have all this education, you know. So yeah, really interesting. Like
This accretion of sensory experience and feeling. Program. We are things that labor under the illusion of having a self. This accretion of sensory experience and feeling. Programmed with total assurance that we are each somebody. When in fact, everybody's nobody. I think the honorable thing for our species to do is deny our programming. Stop reproducing. Walk hand in hand into extinction. One last midnight, brothers and sisters opting out of a raw deal.
I wouldn't agree with that technically, but like I will agree that like maybe stop the fucking like hopeless and senseless grind that like people fucking do, and maybe like throw one last fucking party instead of like having what like instead of like just having like two lifetime experiences, like three lifetime experiences where you actually like are someone and are not pretending to be someone. Like I don't know, like just like throw one last party and I don't know, fucking try to do something out of it. Be yourself, you know. Fuck this 9 to 5 grind. Fuck this and fuck this like for perception that like people are like all right, you know, like that people that we're all like clean and like like just like well fitted, you know. Like the only people that I can actually chill with are actually like people that admit actively that just like me, they are like messed up, they are fuck ups, and they're lost. Like I hate the fucking everything is perfect type of mentality, because like once you actually get into that, like get deeper into that, you find the same fucking messed up person, but that lies to herself about being alright. And it's like live like you don't have to be. Doesn't mean that like you sacrifice like happiness. It just means that you sacrifice hypocrisy for that. Let's just so this is why like I respect characters and perspectives like this.
So, what's the point of getting out of bed in the morning?
I tell myself I bear witness. The real answer is that it's obviously my programming. And I lack the constitution for suicide. I get a bad taste in my mouth out here. Aluminum. Ash. See, we all got what I call a life trap. There's gene deep certainty that things will be different. That you'll move to another city and meet the people that'll be the friends for the rest of your life. That you'll fall in love and be fulfilled. Fucking fulfillment. And closure. Where the fuck those two fucking empty jars to hold this shitstorm. Like nothing's ever fulfilled. Until the very end. And closure. No. Nothing is ever over.
Like this is kind of like the thing where it's like this happy people, the happy people Like they fucking talk about it over and over, and this is sickening to me because because the same route exists, but just as someone that is a realist, someone realistic, doesn't fucking like fucking put the fucking mask all the time. I get it. Some people need to put the mask, but fuck, man, like I'm so done with like you meet someone, it's like a couple week passes, and you end up like fucking finding out that like they're not what they told you, and they actually were like not even like they were not even like having the qualities that like they pretended to have. They just pretended to have these qualities, which is just like sick. It just like makes me sick and makes me like this allows me sometimes to actually be social to this point, you
The
know.
ontological fallacy of expecting a light at the end of the tunnel. Well, that's what the preacher sells. Same as a shrink. See, the preacher, he encourages your capacity for illusion. Then he tells you it's a fucking virtue. There's always a buck to be had doing that. I mean, it's such a desperate sense of entitlement, isn't it? Surely this is all for me. Me? Me, I'm so fucking important. I'm so fucking important, right?
Yeah, self-righteousness and self-importance, like you can see it, and it's like I think that like when it comes to you see me on YouTube and on like as entertainers, it's quite different. But like you can see that like self being important and self-entitlement, and like basically like pretending to be important is really different. Like there is like there's a notion in between like being actually important to some people and pretending to be important, and this is something that like a lot of people like they don't even notice why the fuck they hate someone, and it's just because of like the couple like at least like from my observation, the couple things that like just discussed, that they don't fucking like have the literature, so the education to fucking like put words on to describe, to put words for, like to adjectivize, right? And but yeah, anyway.
People. I've seen the finale of thousands of lives, man. Young, old. Each one is so sure of their realness. You know that their sensory experience constituted a unique individual with purpose, meaning. So certain that they were more than a biological puppet. Truth wheels out and everybody sees. Once the strings are cut off, all down. Each still body so certain that they were more than the sum of their urges. All the useless spinning, tired mind, collisions of desire and ignorance.
This is where like I draw the line, where like I still respect innocence. I'm not like a fucking like I don't see myself as better, and this is where kind of like where the separation begins, right? Well, like I don't think that like people are like still like they're just innocent people trying to do their best, and they don't have the fucking philosophical fucking like knowledge or interest to fucking like know what's going on. Well, it's their choice, and that doesn't mean that they're bad people, and it doesn't mean that they're empty shells. Like what I dislike are jerks, like innocent people. Let them be, like this is like way too much pessimism for me. It's like at this point, like because uh, because I don't know, you've been like this before, so don't be hypocritical about like what you got out of.
This. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I mean when I'm talking about time and death and futility. There are broader ideas at work, mainly what is owed between us as a society for our mutual illusions. Our 14 straight hours of staring at DBs, these are the things you think of. You ever done that? You look in their eyes, even in a picture. Doesn't matter if they're dead or alive, you can still read them. And you know what you see? They welcomed it. Not at first, but right there in the last instant. It's an unmistakable relief. See, because they were afraid. And now they saw for the very first time how easy it was to just let go. And they saw in that last nanosecond, they saw what they were. That you, yourself, this whole big drama, it was never anything but a jerry-rig of presumption and dumb will. And you could just let go. Finally know that you didn't have to hold on so tight. To realize that all your life, not all your love, all your hate, all your memory, all your pain, it was all the same thing. It was all the same dream, a dream that you had inside a locked room. A dream about being a person.
I know what happens next.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, the dream of, but like, let people dream, you know? Like, and this is where I draw the line, where like, it's like, yeah, it is true, and technically, like, biologically, like, medically, it is true. But let people fucking like be the dream at least, you know? Like, don't be a jerk about that, because this type of vibe actually like close you out. But at the same time, like people like this and character like this, like they don't fucking hurt other people. They're just gonna shock them, and they go their way and never fucking make friends, you know? Like,
I saw you in my dream. You're in Carcosa now. With me. He sees you. You'll do this again. Time is a flat circle.
I said, Nietzsche, shut the fuck up. Put it down.
Sinks
Marty!
twin
There you go.
black star.
Why should I live in history, huh? Fuck, I don't want to know anything anymore. This is a world where nothing is solved. When someone once told me time is a flat circle. Everything we've ever done or will do, we're gonna do over and over and over again. And that little boy and that little girl, they're gonna be in that room again. And again. And again. Forever. In this universe, we process time linearly, forward. But outside of our space-time, from what would be a fourth dimensional perspective, time wouldn't exist. And from that vantage, could we attain it?
yeah, time has always been a paradox of itself, when where it's like everything is like, you cannot tell me that like the universe is just a fucking line at the end of the day, right? A timeline, right? Well, at the same time, we are bound by human logics that are limited to ourselves, and this is something that some people using like psychotrops actually like can tell you that like there's so many ways to fucking like reshape this vision and actually like be aware of like non-human constructions that are explaining stuff like this, but we are too human to actually even like process the eventuality of like another answer.
We see our space-time would look flattened, like a single.
Like, I'll give you this example: animals. right? They don't process time, process seasons, right? And so technically, like seasons, it's not time, it's not linear, it's a circle, you know, when it comes to time. Or certain animals that don't process time at all, they just process survival. And so they're not like flatlined and like locked up in this like logic of linearity, you know? But we are. Like, I don't know how to fucking like get out of it. I fucking become like feral or something, you know? I go to the forest, pretend to fucking be a wolf for like a month, you know?
Single sculpture with matter and a superposition
For a couple seasons, you know?
of every place it ever occupied. Or sentience just cycling through our lives like carts on a track. See, everything outside our dimension, that's eternity. Eternity looking down on us. Now, to us, it's a sphere. But to them, it's a circle. In eternity, where there is no time, nothing can grow, nothing can become, nothing changes. So death created time to grow the things that it would kill. And you are reborn, but into the same life that you've always been born into.
It's interesting to actually think about like how we will, if we would actually as humans describe time as linear, if we're all born immortal. That will be interesting actually. But too bad we're missing the we are all born immortal factor.
And how many times have we had this conversation, detectives? Well, who knows? And you can't remember your lives. You can't change your lives. And that is the terrible and secret fate of all life. You're trapped. Like a nightmare you keep waking up into.
So there was like no commentary to this. I'm actually kind of disappointed. I guess like next time we'll have a commentary. But Rascal really like interesting perspectives and point of view. Like I just overall disagree with the with attacking innocents. You know, like innocent people, like basically idiots. You know, like the fucking dude from McDonald's that is fucking nice and that you know is not a fucking like ultra machine when it comes to knowledge. Well, leave him alone and don't fucking criticize him for like not expecting much more and being happy with what he has, you know? Like he is not a construct, he is not a fucking like just biological waste using like his endorphins to just lead his life. He's someone who has dreams and he's someone who will always has I've dreamed. And to be fair, like at least like to me, like it will be always like people happier and more beautiful than me just because they have this sense of this ability to stay pure within their ignorance. People say that ignorance is bliss. It is truly, it is truly. Anyway, let's keep on going. So
we watch anime.
I wanted to watch.
All right, everyone's talking about this new Chainsaw Man. Let's see.
I wanted to watch like where is it? Some more Gigak talking about Chainsaw Man, great show. Check it out. So yeah, let's check it out.
All right.
Like Chainsaw Man is really great, and his character building, um, in its way to fucking like in its way to actually fucking like show information, power levels as well, like, and basically like just it's a good all around show. And then there's Best Girl Makima. You know, like some people are psychos that like to fucking that are attracted to other psychos. So yeah, Best Girl Makima, fucking, and the rest of the story, I can't.
Right, everyone's talking about this new Chainsaw Man. Let's see what this
But I will actually like take the time to now, like after watching the show, this is like one of the rare shows that actually like fucking really like motivated me to read the manga, to give you a perspective of like, you know, if someone tells you, bro, like it's so good that it makes me want to read the manga, you know, it is really good.
show's all about.
返事ははいかワンだけ。いいえなんていう犬はいらない。
What the fuck did I walk into? Chainsaw Man, easily the most anticipated new. What the?
っていう犬はいらない。
Anyway.
What the fuck did I walk into? Chainsaw Man, easily the most anticipated new anime to come out all year. The show that we weren't ready for, that would come down and grace us, showing us peasants once and for all what good anime is. So, how hard did Chainsaw Man hit when it dropped?
Bro, way too hard, bro. Like way too hard.
Yeah, pretty fucking hard. As expected, it's taken over the community by storm, and with all this extra attention comes the extra scrutiny. After just one episode was out, already all the doubters banded together. Experts and scientists poured in thousands of man-hours to collectively construct the perfect critique.
One random man, which is me, didn't notice but was really like about to fucking have his life changed. And no, that's pretty much it.
Confident that their words would be so severe, the Chainsaw Man fandom would be put in their place and the whole anime community would see the error of their ways. Here's what they came up with. Chainsaw Man fans have still not recovered to this day. But do the haters have a point? Did the anime live up to the expectations it built? Did everyone overhype it? What's the deal with Chainsaw Man? Anime fans have been eating good.
Also, the soundtracks, they changed like so the intro song, it doesn't change, but it's fucking like it's insanely good. But it changed over the time the fucking like outro song, so ending song and the opening, like it's just like no. I think that like Chainsaw Man is really like connected to modern culture, to the modern like to the modern youth, and to the modern like it's just meta. Here it is. Chainsaw, like one of the greatest, like one of the reasons Chainsaw Man is so great is because it is so meta. And it's not meta because of references to fucking like things that exist these days. It's meta because the characters are really well written and really well described, and really fucking like and the story is actually like fucking legit. Like everything is legitimate, you know. Like you don't feel disconnected because fuck you, they fucking did it again with the fucking, oh no, I'm emotional and I fucking take the fucking like I'm the hero route because because happy endings better than because happy endings are better than bad endings. No, they show you basically, you know, like these cop, like basically like the difference between these cop movies where like it ends every single episode with like they find the killer or like the criminal and they arrest them, compared to a cop show where like it's not the case of it's not the case always that they fucking catch the criminal. And like basically like if you understand what I'm talking, what I try to say, like if what I'm trying to describe, like you'll get it.
Good this year. But you know what? They could be eating even better with our sponsor today, Boxu. Weebs, tell me, did you get fed well enough in 2022? Don't lie to me, Weebs, unless you have your own Boxu. Boxu is my favorite Japanese snack box. It's a subscription service that sends you a new box of goodies every single month right from Japan. They work with family businesses all over Japan, so you know this is the good stuff they're giving you. Guys, I'm not gonna lie, my Christmas was cancelled until Boxu sent me their gifts of snacks. Christmas dinners? Get out of here. I'm eating well because I got my own Boxu, guys. And this is a month I'm super excited about because this month is Hokkaido Wonderland. And if you know anything about Japanese food, any of the food that comes from Hokkaido is chef's kiss, god tier. And you know what? I'm gonna treat myself by having a snack right now. What I got here is the white milk boucher. Let's give this a go. Oh. I'm gonna be honest, I've already eaten the snack on Trash Taste and I wanted to eat it again because it was so good. I also wanted to try some Hokkaido milk Carantino crisps. If there's one thing that's really famous about Hokkaido, it's their milk. So I've got high expectations of this. Oh, smells good. Oh, this is really addicting. Oh, I need another one already. One pack is not going to be enough. Oh no. Guys, it's the end of the year. It's the season of gifts and giving. So show someone close your love today by giving them a Boxu. You know they are going to be eaten well. So click the link in the description and use code GIGUP for $15 off your first Boxu order. Thank you very much to Boxu for sponsoring us today. Back to the video. It's no secret that I'm already a big fan of the author, so external factors aside, I was already hyped as hell. Chainsaw Man was meant to be his magnum opus, taking everything he's learned from previous works and perfecting it.
And it is. It truly is. Like, it truly is his magnum opus. So far. And you know, like, that a mangaka, like, is the fucking shit. Is the fucking, like... is the fucking man when it's like you tell yourself it is this magnum opus, but you might fucking even outdo it. Outdo it.
Chainsaw Man was meant to be the outlier of Shonen Jump, doing things its own way. Chainsaw Man starts off like a pretty standard shonen. You could be forgiven for getting a slight feeling of deja vu watching a spunky teenager on the brink of death making a contract with the devil to gain devil powers, only to be picked up by an organization that hunts said devils under the pretense that they can keep an eye on him and won't kill him as long as he's assisting in hunting other devils. Then we find out there's this super strong devil that they have to hunt by looking for his body parts, which is really risky because like any devil who's consumed some of those body parts is a super strong S-tier devil and you're like,
Wait a minute!
this is just Jujutsu Kaisen again. But that's where the similarities end. Chainsaw Man is...
Yeah, Chainsaw Man is like has like a lot of like differences to Jujutsu Kaisen, where I think that like it has like more emotions to it. Jujutsu Kaisen like this emotional part of being this despicable and disgusting like hero. Not disgusting hero, but like hero that actually work and actually is in a disgusting industry in a disgusting world, where Chainsaw Man has this like emotional connection with the characters, and this is why people are like more fucking like. Do you remember Kobeni from like fucking Jujutsu Kaisen? Yeah, exactly. Do you remember Power from fucking Chainsaw Man? This is exactly what I'm talking about. You remember Power 1,000 times more than Kobeni. Kobeni's still best girl, you know, Jujutsu Kaisen. But still, like, and it's the same. Like, what can you tell about like the characters of Chainsaw Man, compared to Jujutsu Kaisen, right? It's like they're cool, but like, what can you tell about them, like on a fucking like human perspective, you know, like personal perspective?
is a typical shonen in the same way that Stephen King's It is a children's show about a funny looking clown. It is brutal, disgusting, raw, it is metal as fuck. It pushes the edge of what it even means to be a shonen action show in the first place. You look at some of these scenes, you see what these characters do, and you think, that's not what Goku would do. When we first meet him, he is-
exactly.
what's the technical term for this again? A broke-ass bitch. Due to some unfortunate circumstances, he lives every day just to survive.
And the theme that like are also like talked about are also so much darker, and people like really tend to like not notice it, but it's like mundane, so day-to-day slice of life themes actually that are like talked about, that are really talked about in an interesting way, and they don't fucking like sugarcoat it or anything. Well, like not a lot of shows actually do that. So there's like the fighting part, there's like the fucking like demon investigation, like organization part, but there's also like the life part that is really fucking like dope, you know,
Drowned in debt, a bottom dweller of society, he sold
and well thought and well discussed, you know, and well described.
his
you know?
left eye, a kidney, one of his nuts. Yes, his nuts. Just to scrape by, living on a slice of bread a day. I mean, good lord, someone get this boy some Boxu. There you go, Boxu. That was a free one for you. But this immediately sets the tone for just what kind of world this is. Naruto, Demon Slayer, My Hero. These are worlds where some pretty hardcore shit can happen if you lay it out on paper, yet somehow everyone seems to have come out squeaky clean. Tanjiro had almost his entire family brutally murdered, and yet he's still like, oh, I'm gonna be a good boy, I'm gonna be the best boy, I'm gonna empathize with all the demons, I'm gonna make the world a good place.
Yeah, like exactly. This is exactly the emotional part that like Jujutsu Kaisen doesn't have. I think that like I kind of disagree with Demon Slayer, just because Demon Slayer is set in a setting of like Edo Japan, like basically like middle-aged Japan, right? Past Japan, where like bro, you survive, well, you keep on going, and because of that, like your personality kind of like it's not like a shocking where compared to Jujutsu Kaisen, you know.
You saw your mother's bloody corpse! How are you more mentally stable than me, remembering I got my tax returns due in 2 months?
Shonen protagonists have always been about preaching that good moral. Work hard, train hard, be a good person, aspire to be something great. Everything that Denji isn't. The man's been through hell and just wants to live in Mars.
And this is actually the thing, where like he doesn't preaches, but through his character, he still do, you know. And this is how great Chainsaw Man is.
Comfort while copping the casual feel along the way. He doesn't have any grand aspirations. He doesn't want to fight for what is right. He's not the honorable, innocent, safe protagonist we've gotten used to. While Goku is out there being like, Cell, I want you to power up to your final form so we can have a fair and honorable fight. Denji's here like, finishing move. Delete bloodline. Well, that's the thing that makes him interesting. Okay, Denji, I think you can stop now. I think he's learned his lesson. Oh god, Denji, no, this is not the way. Denji, God, please, Denji, for the love of God! But that's the thing that sets him apart and makes him interesting, and this is something that's pervasive throughout every single cast member in Chainsaw Man. Wouldn't you agree, Aki?
Yeah, totally agree.
Everyone here stands out from the typical characters you see, and I'm not talking about in that usual anime way. You know, sometimes you watch these animes and you see these characters that are like, look.
And they also like talk about like love and sexuality, which is something that like I fucking do not understand. If you're already like doing like a fucking like seinen, well, fucking like I allow yourself to fucking talk. You're already doing like bodily horror, the like body horror in general, that is like makes you like basically censored everywhere, right? And that like talk about like fucking like love, talk about emotions, talk about sexuality, like because like this is also like something that Chainsaw Man does, and this is why it's like all around good show, because it doesn't feel like disconnected, and you also like don't feel that like a dude, like the dude is next to the hot girl for like the fucking 35 seasons, and it's like, yeah, it's kind of cute, and this is like the fucking like finale of the show that like fucking like everyone lose their mind off. It's like, no, like the dude like Denji or like other characters they see, and other characters are like, damn, this person is attractive, this person is interesting, this person is lovely, damn, this person I might fall in love with her, you know. And they don't have like this fucking like fucking yeah, so we've been like together with for 23 years, right? And now I see consider you kind of cute, the waifu that is like fought endless battles with me and told me 26 2600 times that you love me and that you'll do anything for me. Like this is like something that I really despise in anime these days. It's like you really need to fucking like get into like this fucking innocence about like love and relationship. Like remember when fucking finally Naruto fucking like got with Inara? Yeah, right. Like this happened and this is great. Would be nice if this type of like stuff happened more, you know? But this happens in Chainsaw Man, I say.
Look at me, I'm so quirky. Look at this weird thing I do. Isn't it so weird? Aren't I so weird and quirky? I'm not like other anime characters. And then the super weird quirk turns out to be something like, look at me, I sit funny. People in Chainsaw Man are just actually weird. Like, I don't know, puking in a guy's mouth and then he swallows it and then you try to sleep with him 5 hours later. Haha. Everyone here has a few.
But if you fucking went to like these fucking parties with weirdos, well, this is what can happen, and this is the cool thing where like as much as like there is like this whole like plethora like this whole like theme of like demons and fucking devils and everything. You could I can make the case that like you could take the characters from Chainsaw Man, put them in a actual just like salaryman type of like 9 to 5 office, and it still will be selling and it still will be like an interesting TV show. If you just even if you remove the fighting parts, just because they are so well built and so well written and so well described.
Few screws loose, but it never comes at the expense of their character. All too often in anime, we see these characters that are distinguished by their weird quirks, and even if they have some depth to them, it always comes off as cartoonish, the anime-esque bullshit we've all gotten accustomed to. And one thing I gotta give props for is, despite how batshit insane these guys are, they all still feel like people. Everyone is just broken in some way, like they're all missing a different piece to make them normal. They're not cartoonish, they're just fucking weird, and that absolutely works. The dynamics, the antics, the banter, the cast is just so entertaining together. Like, there's a scene where a bunch of devil hunters are trapped in this building,
and basically like that's kind of like the reality part where like in real life everyone is weird, everyone is messed up, everyone is special and unique, you know. And this is where like Chainsaw Man really shines, because like this is not disconnected from this, they don't like take this away from the show. This is why it feels so...
possibly for an eternity, waiting for death. One of them has a panic attack. One of them starts freaking out and goes full yandere. They're laughing at each other. Denji falls asleep. Two of them decide now's the best time to pick up smoking. Power starts spouting off that she's going to be prime minister and raise the sales tax to 100%. And I'm sitting here being like, what the fuck am I watching? Chainsaw Man could be a sitcom and it would still work. It's like watching the cast of Always Sunny if they were stars of a shonen action show. Are they assholes? Yeah. Would you be friends with them? Probably a bad idea. Is it just hella entertaining to see how they operate in the situations they find themselves in?
Yes, bitch.
It's all great stuff, even if the structure is a bit reminiscent to previous shonens we've seen. That is until this guy shows up, and that's when things really start revving up. This is the moment when Chainsaw Man really starts showing its true colors. Within a space of 20 minutes, it shifts from first gear straight to fifth gear, looks you dead in the eye and goes, you stupid bitch, did you really think you knew where this was going? You feel like a dumbass for forgetting the type of world this all takes place in. It is a cruel, ruthless place where your entire life can change in one instance, one bad experience, one unlucky encounter. There are no second chances, and villains aren't fucking around here, and just as you start to think, damn, these bad guys are pretty damn scary, Makima is then like...
Fuck.
Only when you start to fear the bad
If you know,
guys,
you
you see
know.
that the good guys are even more terrifying, and you don't know what to believe. Who's good? Who's evil? What's really going on? More questions emerge while nothing gets answered, and you realize the only thing you really knew is that you didn't know a damn thing. This was the Chainsaw Man I expected. Tatsuki Fujimoto is and never has been a by-the-books guy. It's like he lulled us into a false sense of security, then was like, alright, you've had your fun now, I'm die.
Thank you, forever.
The more episodes I watch, the faster I click on the next episode button, and my only gripe is that it feels like we've only just begun. 12 episodes feels brazenly short for the story that Chainsaw Man has set up, which begs the question, am I just gonna read ahead in the manga?
And this was like back in the day where like season 2 wasn't released, and it got released, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, like, like I'm kind of it's kind of late, so yeah, this is so bad. Release date. No, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it got released, and like that's the good thing, bro. Like, what's the two so big, mega fan that it doesn't know, but it feels like so linear as well. But yeah, like in the second season, well, as good as the first one.
No, because what I'm doing is watching the anime, then reading the manga. Yeah, that's right. You heard that correctly. I'm reading the manga second. How does that make you feel, manga readers? Does that make you feel uncomfortable? Uneasy? Maybe I'll mix it up. Maybe I'll read a few chapters ahead and then let the anime catch up. Maybe
This man needs to be put in prison right
I'll
now.
read chapter 70 out of context. Maybe I'll just translate it all into Braille and consume it that way. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with this. Anime is just my medium of choice. There's nothing that will replace Kensuke Ushio's hypnotic, mesmerizing soundtrack, the stellar animation, or the voice acting that bring the chemistry these characters have to life.
猫よさらうなんてよデビルハンターとして許せね
Impressive. Very nice. And let's see the official Spanish dub.
¡Demonio de mierda! ¡Secuestraron Gatito! Como Devil Hunter no lo puedo dejar pasar.
But there are a few manga artists out there like Tatsuki Fujimoto, and after reading what the anime has covered, yeah, he's a fucking genius, alright? Only so rarely do you find
A prodigy.
someone who has such mastery of the page. Here is a man who knows how to use manga to its fullest potential, which he does consistently. If you're someone who's never really thought about layout, paneling, or page composition, I implore you to read any one of his works and you'll immediately realize, oh, that's why it matters. I know this because I never did until I could see how masterfully it could be used. Well, you know, you could just watch my other video where I go in depth about it. The work he's put into Chainsaw Man, the way he uses manga to convey ideas and feelings is something that would be impossible to translate into another medium. And so it doesn't. But what nuance it loses, it makes up for by adding its own. The anime takes its own approach in telling the story. Colors are more muted, characters look more realistic. It slows everything down, not to pad out the runtime, but just so you have time to get absorbed into this beautiful world. And this has made some of the more dramatic moments hit even harder. It doesn't just reference cinema, it doesn't just look cinematic, it feels cinematic. Almost as if this is an anime original production, not taking its material from a manga. I mean, just look at something like this.
帰れ
I fucking love how it feels like this devil was just deleted from existence, like it's what only an eerie, outerworldly creature can do. And it was just such a subtle thing that could only be conveyed in anime form. It really
Yeah, and you just like, if it can motivate you to check out the show, like you really feel, it really makes you feel you're watching a movie each episode, like to this point.
seems like the team have put
It is that good.
so much thought into the visual storytelling. There are no lazy camera angles, no throwaway shots, and instead of trying to replicate what the manga has done, they've asked themselves, what is something that only we could do? They added a 2-minute scene of Aki getting ready in the morning, and it is so beautifully calming that gives us a glimpse of who Aki is that was never in the manga. This is some Makoto Shinkai level of vibes that absolutely did not need to be done, which shows that someone there gives a shit. And this isn't even mentioning how good of a job they're doing with the animation. When people
And actually cares about like the characters that and understand them as they are like making an anime of them. And this is something that doesn't happen often, especially for a seinen production.
think
you
good
know?
animation, they see a pretty fight scene and they think, oh, now this is good animation. Wait, 10 frames of CG? unwatchable. But what they can gloss over is that 17 other minutes of anime in that anime. Chainsaw Man simply looks breathtaking in almost every single frame. Fight scenes aside, there is no
No, you're breathtaking. Good God.
reason why walking animation needs to look this goddamn smooth, or backgrounds look so spectacular, or hand-holding scenes should awaken something in me.
指の長さはどれくらい？手のひらは冷たい？
And you know what? I'll say it. The CG doesn't even look bad. I think the real reason it stands out at points is just because of how goddamn spectacular everything else looks. Which experience is better? I don't know, whatever medium you bloody prefer. Why not both? You have two separate versions, two separate styles, two separate approaches to telling this fantastic story in a way that utilizes their own medium to its highest potential instead of one trying to emulate the other. And I can't even begin to tell you how rare of an occurrence this is. Which is why it blows my mind when I see complaints that this scene doesn't look exactly how it does in the manga, or this isn't how the manga depicted this one thing. We have a chocolate cake.
Yeah, people will always fucking like you always see this type of people, but like it's all right. Like now that I think of it, like something that I could actually fucking get into is a Chainsaw Man video game. Let me check if there is a Chainsaw Man video game in the production, because like Chainsaw Man, like as a video game, can also like Chainsaw Man the video game. There is a fan game, but like this could be like also something really sick, you know, because the universe is this rich and this dense and this like accessible for gaming.
And a chocolate ice cream in front of us, and people are unhappy that it's not the exact same flavor of chocolate. And I'm like, bro, you have a delicious ice cream and cake right in front of you. Why are you complaining? Chainsaw Man is setting up for the series fans said it would be, and it hit the jackpot of having an anime production this good while in no way replacing what the manga has done. Will these 12 episodes live up to the insane hype people said it would reach? No. But we already knew that, so the real question is, when the hell are we going to get more of it?
Oh god, Denji, please stop! His descendants are already dead!
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed that video. Thank
I
you very much this
did.
month too.
Always
Alpha Sigma,
do.
Basil, Dysfunctional Degenerate.
Yeah, this must be me. It must be me. Like I'm a secret admirer. Like this dude is like, yeah. Chainsaw Man. Watch it. You know, like watch it before you die. It's that good. And follow Gigog and leave him a like and subscribe to his fucking Patreon. Make this man fucking rich, man. Like if you want some more fucking good anime content. Thanks so much, Gigog, for being a bro, dude. Anyway. Okay, next on some more anime fucking like stuff. Yeah, some more fucking anime stuff. I need an anime recommendation. So yeah, like the next one is how to traumatize yourself in 13 episodes or less. So yeah, I need some anime recommendation.
We watch anime.
You know, Mother Basement, also a great YouTuber. Like you should check him out. So let's check this out. Fucking dark magical girl t-shirt. This man is a fucking alpha, dude.
Anime for the hype, the fantasy, the laughs and romance. But sometimes all that feel-good stuff just isn't enough.
Sometimes you just want to fucking like watch the anime and go to bed and hope you don't wake up, you know?
Sometimes you want to feel bad. Just have a good long cry and let it all out, you know? But some of those sometimes you just don't have time for that long of a cry. Maybe classes are really starting to pile on, or you're juggling 2 jobs. Whatever the case, you've got to make the most of your weekend by having the most efficient emotional breakdown possible. This week, I got you covered, because this video contains 10 of the most traumatic experiences you can get from an anime in 13 episodes or less. Each one
Yeah, let's fucking yeah. I'm alone in this stuff. Like, oh, yes. Yeah, to me.
Guaranteed to turn you into a sobbing wreck or your money back. And hey, if you ever need a pick-me-up after one of these bring-you-downs, today's sponsor, Isekai Slow Life, is here to help. Every weeb wishes they could be reborn as a random fantasy thingamabob surrounded by sexy elves and catgirls and stuff, and Isekai Slow Life lets you finally live that fantasy. The thingamabob in question is an adorable little mushroom guy, or girl, that finds itself elected mayor of a quaint little village after using its magic mushroom juice to help out some local businesses, opening up some light, relaxing town sim gameplay with fun additions like a cute little fishing minigame. As your town grows and you venture out on quests, complete with cute little visual novel cutscenes, you'll bring in more and more fantasy cuties with their own stories to tell, all of whom you can take on dates and eventually add to your ever-growing family. Starting April 7th, you'll even be able to recruit characters from That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime as part of their big new collab event, which also includes a new storyline, new gameplay, and new gift packs and achievements to unlock. To get your fill of cozy fantasy vibes, just click the link below or scan this here QR code to start your Isekai Slow Life today. And when you do, don't forget to use the gift code MUSHROOM to get 10 free draws plus a pack of bonus items. In start.
That time I got reincarnated as a slime. Fucking great anime. Watch this if you get the time. That's like. What? Oh fuck! I need to check. I actually pushed my headset a little bit too much. My audio interface. I can't really fucking remember. Oh, okay, my audio interface is not fucked. Let me check if okay. Let me be right back for just a second. Okay, let's discover how the fuck we can traumatize ourselves.
Stark contrast to that, though, my first recommendation of the day is one of the least relaxing isekai in existence, where most isekai protagonists are given epic quests for the fate of the whole RPG-like world to ignore while an endless parade of waifus takes turns bouncing on their dicks. The poor teens at the heart of Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash are faced with an infinitely simpler yet infinitely more difficult task: surviving. Finding themselves stranded in a strange land with no memory of who they are or how they got there and nothing to their names, these strangers plucked from across Japan have no choice but to join up as raw recruits in Grimgar's reserve army, sent out to battle monsters that threaten the peace of their new homeland on a daily basis, trading hard-won trophies for basic room and board. And of these displaced souls, we follow a squad of the dregs and stragglers, a healer, a hunter, a wizard, a warrior, a thief, and a knight who together struggle to fight the most basic of monsters, learning quickly, the hard way, that even the scrawniest goblins are just as scrappy and desperate to live as they are. Between battles, they enjoy whatever slices they can of that hard-won life, always fleeting and precious and often overshadowed by the trauma of the last fight and the pressure of the inevitable next one. We get to know them as they come to know themselves and each other, rediscovering and redefining who they were before and what drives them now, all the while knowing that at any moment, any one of their journeys could be brought to an abrupt end. And you can probably guess from its presence in this video that one eventually does. Grimgar fills its heartbreakingly beautiful watercolor world world with complex and compelling characters, using our attachment to them to devastating effect. It's a poignant tale about processing grief and overcoming adversity that asks potent questions about how our past defines us and we, in turn, define our future. Unfortunately, this too short first and only season only gives the faintest glimpse of what future awaits these unlikely heroes in the epic saga of the light novels, but the story it tells does work perfectly well as a self-contained arc.
That's a shame. Like, not for me as an anime. Like, I don't feel the vibe, and isekais. I'm kind of like, it really has to be a fucking like. You need to fucking have like good arguments to fucking make me watch an isekai. But maybe you. I don't
That
know.
said, if you've absolutely positively got to get closure from your depressing Portal fantasies, there is a fantastic original isekai that I also can't recommend
I hope that like the manga is finished though.
enough. Long before ReZero proved that auto-saving checkpoints are the worst cheat power ever, and Grimgar demonstrated they're still better than the alternative, Now and Then Here and There was doing the dark fantasy subversion thing way back in 1999. Doing for the likes of Digimon and Monster Rancher what those shows do for the modern SAO-esque stat screen fest. The hook is brilliantly elegant. You take your typical incurably optimistic power of hope and friendship dipstick, here named Shu Matsutani, and send him off to another world, as was the style at the time, but instead of verdant landscapes and friendly collectible combat critters, all he finds waiting for him on the other side is despair, drought, and dozens upon dozens of child soldiers pressed into the service of an increasingly paranoid megalomaniac. That's not to say the world he ends up in isn't beautiful. This is one of the most gorgeous examples of traditional cell animation ever broadcast.
It is interesting looking, like it is unique looking. I like it. Maybe too old for me to get into it, but like maybe I like the t-shirt as well. Maybe I will run out of like anything else to watch.
Whether they're falling over Tokyo or the desolate desert wastes, I don't know if I've ever seen more striking sunsets in anime. But they're the deep, lingering sort of sunsets that cast long shadows and throw the horrors of the world into harsh relief. Now and Then Here and There is one of those anime that beats you down and never really lets up, piling psychological abuse, torture, sexual violence, and every war crime in the book on its young hero and his friends with each successive episode. It's so much, it leaves you numb more often than it gets the waterworks going, at least until the dam bursts at the very end, which can make it difficult to watch, especially if you yourself or the world you live in are going through it at the moment. But if you can stomach it, seeing how Shu clings on to hope and fights to smile even in the face of overwhelming adversity is powerfully inspiring and cathartic. But if you're looking for an adventure that'll lift your spirits rather than crush them, even as it's turning your face holes into faucets, we've got an original anime for that too. Few anime make my heart soar quite like Sora Yori mo Toi Basho.
I'm actually curious if I actually watched any of the recommendations. So far, I haven't watched any of the recommendations that he offers. I'm curious to see if like I actually stumble upon one of the animes that they will present.
A Place Further Than the Universe in English, or Yorimoi to its friends, is a show about three cute girls with vibrant
To me, animes that traumatize me. Let me think. Well, school days, obviously. But also like I feel a weird one. Mm, no, is it? I think I can find it. It's one of the best you feel. Mm. Clanad. Clanad. Actually, Clanad was one of the TV shows that like really fucking like traumatized me. Other than that, like you're, I don't know. I guess Chainsaw Man in certain ways, and oh, and what's it called? Eminence, Eminence of Shadow, Eminence and Shadow. Like Eminence and Shadow. I actually watched it all. I don't even know why. It's not Eminence and Shadow. Fuck. What was it called? Fuck. Made in Abyss. Made in Abyss. You want to traumatize yourself? I don't know if I'll mention it, but like these are like the ones that actually fucking traumatized me. So yeah, Chainsaw Man, Clanad, the other one like another one. Oh, and Clanad, where is it? Kai. Like this is like, I think it's Kai. Where is it? Yeah. No, it's Akagi. Akagi, actually. So yeah, here's my recommendation. Maybe it will add up to something else. To what
personalities whose obvious
maybe you'll recommend the same one.
destiny of uniting as a light music band or tea ceremony club or whatever is diverted by the fourth one, Shirase's unshakable dream of exploring Antarctica, hoping to follow in the footsteps of her scientist mother who disappeared long ago on an expedition down south. You don't need to know that this anime's in this video to see where that storyline's going, but even though you will see it coming, you will not be ready when that moment hits. And there are plenty moments leading up to it that'll also have you blubbering like a penguin as the demure Shiraishi, incurably outgoing Hinata, and anxiously upbeat Mari each struggle to overcome their own challenges so they can be there for their friend when she needs them most. But more than that, and more than just about any other anime I've watched, especially at this length, Yorimoi has an incredible ability to wring out tears of awe and joy at the beauty of the world we live in, the power of the bonds that carry us through it, the siren song of adventure and discovery that drives us to venture out and find those precious things, and the raw human spirit to overcome any obstacle in our way and any naysayer lying behind us.
It's even funnier when they have like a
This anime makes my
it's even funnier when they have such an upbeat fucking like opening song, and it's like, yeah, no, we choose it, but it's no, it's still a fucked up anime, dude.
Hearts soar in a way that nothing else out there has ever really matched, besides going out there with people I love and having an adventure of our own. Out of all the anime I'm gonna recommend today, this one might be the most likely to legitimately change your life, except maybe for Anohana, depending on when you watch it. Mario Kata's masterful meditation on grief, depression, and survivor's guilt has helped me through some of the toughest moments in my own life. And if I had to single out any one piece of media that's responsible for my low-key addiction to ugly crying, this would be it. If you haven't seen it yet, I've got a whole video essay on why you need to change that on my second channel, because it got
I don't like the car
the
design.
version, Anohana, very short for Anohimita Hana no namae o boku tachi wa mada shiranai, or we still don't remember the name of the flower we saw that day, is the story of 6 steadfast childhood friends, the self-proclaimed super peacebusters, whose happy-go-lucky lives in the Japanese countryside were forever changed when Menma, the happy-go-luckiest of them all, died in a tragic accident, leaving the other 5 to drift apart, each one privately tortured by feelings of guilt, anger, self-doubt, jealousy, and most painful of all, love, that they now have no hope of ever resolving. Or so they think, until their former leader, Jintan,
This actually reminds me of like another anime that is really traumatizing. It's a romance anime. I don't know if I can find it. It's like a romance anime where like basically like there's a love triangle, right, ongoing, and basically like, but the dude is meant to be with like one of the girls, and this is it, you know. And but the problem is that the girl dies, and so they end up together, or like no, she end up in coma, and she ends up in coma. Yeah, she ended up in coma, and basically, because of that, well, the love triangle actually changed, and basically, like the dude ends up with the other chick, right? And but the story takes place when actually the girl wakes up, and this is so fucking like heart wrenching and just like really traumatizing, like. I cannot find the name, so you're gonna like have to trust me on that one. Wait. Is this it? Yeah, I found it. Kimi ga nozomu ein, like basically rumbling hearts. Like this is really traumatic. Like this is a great show.
transformed by trauma from an outgoing ball of energy and charisma into a surly, truant gamer shut-in, is visited by Menma's ghost one hazy summer day. Or maybe it's just a heat-induced hallucination. He really can't be sure, since he's the only one who can see her, and he's certainly not in the most stable mental state. But real or not, she gives him the gentle push he needs to go out and reconnect with his former friends, so they can all travel down the painful path to healing together. Personalities clash, repressed memories resurface, and long-held secrets come spilling out across 11 episodes of immaculately crafted drama as the group hurtles toward one of the most explosively emotional climaxes of anything you'll ever see. Again, if you haven't seen it yet, it's a can't-miss masterpiece. If you have, I'd also recommend Mario Kata's movie Makia, or if you've seen both of those, hours and you're itching for another thing about a white-haired girl with not a lot of time left, then you might also like my next recommendation. If you measure the worth of a downer anime in terms of pure tears per minute, then Plastic Memories might just be the most devastating entry on this list. The last two and several other arguably deliver much harder gut punches, but the premise and plot structure
He has the same fucking white noise as me. Like, I was able to fix it, but he has the same white noise as me.
of Plot Memo are designed to absolutely batter you with emotional blows from all angles. The setup is brilliant for this sort of thing. It's the future, and humanity has developed thinking humanoid robots called Giftia to help us in our daily life. People use them as personal assistants, companions, and even replace.
Okay, now that I think of it, Ghost in the Shell is also like really traumatic. Like if you like if we see like traumatize yourself in 13 episodes of love. Yeah, I've got like my own library of fucking like stuff that like makes me want to kill myself. So yeah, let's keep going.
Placements for lost loved ones, as they're as capable of feeling as thinking, but their sentience has a strict shelf life. 81,920 hours, or about 9 years and 4 months. Past that storage limit, their memories and personalities begin to rapidly degrade, leading to erratic behavior, mental distress, and in extreme cases, full-blown iRobot shit. And the only way to prevent this is...
So basically the psychos in the what was it called? Psycho so it basically talks about the cyber psychos, the cyber psychos, right? The psycho killers in Cyberpunk 2077. Basically, it's the story of them, huh?
with a full factory reset. Of course, lots of people aren't exactly keen to effectively lobotomize family members they've known and loved for nearly a decade, but that's where Terminal Services comes in. A division of Giftia manufacturer Psycorp tasked with convincing more reticent customers to allow this scheduled maintenance, and when that fails, with tracking down the resulting rogue robots. All of their operatives work in pairs. One Giftia to deal with any potential Terminator shenanigans, plus one human to keep them in line. Tsukasa is their latest human employee, a Nepo baby whose dad lands.
So this doesn't sound like a fucking like synopsis, like a story that hits hard and that is really like dark. But I can tell you that if it's well done, it is fucking awfully dark and grim and just traumatizing. Like because the themes within like what he said, what he talked about, are like similar to Ghost in the Shell, but like it's basically like a subcategory of some episodes that Ghost in the Shell like I should actually talks about and like bring ideas to.
Lands him the job after he fails his college entrance exams, and who finds himself swiftly partnered with department veteran Isla, an adorably clumsy mechanical moe blob with an impressive gift for connecting with people. Each episode sees the pair embroiled in a different depressing short story, precision engineered to have you bawling your eyes out in 23 minutes or less. Some might call it emotionally manipulative. I call it efficient. And while those episodic plots are busy pummeling you in the feels, it gradually winds up a hell of a haymaker with the ongoing story of Tsukasa and Isla's growing feelings for each other in the face of her rapidly impending expiration date. Plastic Memories explores a softer, more optimistic side of sci-fi than the cyberpunk dystopias typical of anime, yet uses that to build a surprisingly compelling and personal tragedy.
Yeah, sometimes it's like the slice of life, the day to day, that like is way really more hits you more in the feelings than the fucking like fucking crazy crazy stuff that like is shiny and like in a world that you get, you know, the phrase in the world, you know, like so it's more the day to day life and stuff like that is actually like hits you differently, you know.
Probably don't have to say what that last sentence was a segue to, just like I probably don't even have to tell you to watch Cyberpunk Edgerunners in the first.
Talking about Cyberpunk, I forgot to talk about Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Well, Cyberpunk Edge Runners, they talk about like similar themes as well, so with the psycho killers, the cyber killers.
It is front and center in this video's thumbnail for a reason, unless A/B testing said that something else worked better, but I really doubt that anything's about to outperform the David stare, an image that near instantly became synonymous with fictional trauma after Netflix released Studio Trigger's hauntingly beautiful tie-in anime for CD Projekt Red's mega-budget mega-city sandbox adaptation of Mike Pondsmith's classic tabletop RPG. But if somehow you missed the hype train and all the memes, and you still have no idea why everyone at the Anime Con rave started sobbing when that one slow dance song came on, don't let all...
Yeah, I'm just gonna say it. You tell me, Rebecca, best girl. Rebecca, best girl. No, fuck you. Lucy, best girl. Lucy, best girl.
All those layers of corpo licensing fool you. This show is a straight-up masterpiece, and the front-runner for the greatest video game adaptation ever made in any medium. Now, based on the game in question, plus prior works from the studio and director Hiroyuki Imaishi, you might come in expecting a balls-to-the-wall power fantasy action extravaganza full of dead cops and corporate goons, big explosions, and bigger boobs, and you will absolutely get that as you follow ex-honor student David Martinez's fall over the edge into the underbelly of Night City and his techno time dilation-powered rise back up into the pantheon of cyberpunk legends, alongside his literal and euphemistic partner in crime Lucy and all her punk friends. Well, most of the boobs are modestly sized by anime and Imaishi standards, but they are still there. However, throughout his battles against fellow mercs and mega-corporate Goliaths alike, you'll also be met with a profound sense of loss, time and again, as you bear witness to a fascinating and visceral treatise on how love can hold us together in the face of brutal systems that seek to break us down into compliant pulp.
And this is like kind of like the you know, like a love can hold us together, like the power of friendship. It doesn't fucking works for me in a fucking like anime like My Hero Academia or like Naruto, but it works in Cyberpunk Edge Runners because or Chainsaw Man, you know, like just because it doesn't feel like fucking sugar coated and fucking hypocritical, you know. And usually there's more to just like love and friendship will fucking save us and make us better people. Like there's more, there's like something unique to that, to these like morals compared to like your Naruto's or like your fucking like One Piece, you know?
In other words, you're gonna cry a lot. And even though it's just 8 episodes long, you might want to spread those out across your weekend or even an entire week just to give yourself time.
No, you should watch it at once. Like, you should watch it at once.
And to process it all. But of course, that runtime is also a bit of a lie, since once you're done watching, you will be itching to jump into the 100+ hour long game to try out all the badass weapons and cyber mods you saw in the show, and ultimately write your own epic, bittersweet tragedy on the neon-drenched streets of Night City.
Yeah, so if you never played Cyberpunk 2077 and you start with Cyberpunk Edge Runners, and you get invested enough to fucking play Cyberpunk 2077, bro, you're in for right street, bro. Like, I'm just, I won't even say anything else. You're in for such a fucking beautiful treat. You're in for such a fucking good time, you know?
But let me give you another Netflix rec that'll actually take just one weekend to finish. This one, steampunk rather than cyberpunk. Violet Evergarden is similar in structure to Plastic Memories, actually, a work-life tale about a job that naturally sets up a series of potently poignant short stories, culminating in a grand emotional climax for the protagonist who helped all those other characters through those stories. But I'd argue the setup and execution is considerably more elegant. Our titular heroine, Violet, is an emotionless steampunk combat cyborg raised to kill in a world at war, then left adrift in peacetime. Struggling to process the loss of her commander, the only man who ever cared for her and the only one she cared for in turn, as well as to understand the true meaning of his last words, "I love you." Trying to find a place in a world that no longer needs her, she settles in as a mail sorter at a private post office, only to discover by sheer chance the exact opposite of her calling. Auto memory dolls. Typists tasked with transcribing the words hidden in the hearts of their clients, with putting concisely to paper the thoughts and feelings we all struggle to express. The exact wrong job for a girl with no emotions. But perhaps, Violet thinks, by connecting with others and listening to their hearts, she might begin to hear her own. Violet Evergarden might just be Kyoto Animation's single saddest and most beautiful anime. And
Okay, I will actually save this one. Like, this one seems interesting. Like, this one actually is seem interesting enough. Thanks so much.
if you don't understand what a monumental statement that is, you should watch it as soon as possible. Plus, Hibike Euphonium, K-On!, Tamako Market, just all of their stuff is great. Of course, like with Edgerunners, a lot of you out there don't need to be told that, but if you're looking for something that scratches a similar itch with a similar level of skill, you should also check out Vye Fluoride Eye's song. The Terminator-esque tale of an unpopular AI amusement park attraction named Vye on a century-long quest to learn what it truly means to sing from the heart, so her voice might one day bring joy to the world. Also, she's got to avert the robot apocalypse. That bit's pretty important too. Although, since every AI is programmed with a single all-encompassing purpose that defines their entire existence, and Vye's happens to be singing, you can expect at least one heartstring-tugging idol number for every heart-pounding cyberpunk action scene. And the show handles both expertly. Aided by Matsumoto, an advanced AI sent back 100 years to inhabit the body of an adorable teddy bear, Vye must navigate and intervene in key turning points throughout the next century of human-AI relations that ultimately culminate in T-Day, which, as you might expect from the Violet Evergarden comparison, take the form of tragic and melancholic character-driven stories centered on profound philosophical questions of what it means to be human and what our hearts really are, which will wring their fair share of tears out of you, while the overarching story primes you to cry a whole lot more.
This is actually by Vye. Like the the story doesn't look like much to me, but the art direction is actually fucking sick. I really love the way it looks. So, and it seems they seem to be really like put a care, so maybe I'll give it a try.
It's a very effective structure. There's a reason 3 different anime in this video employ it, and if Plastic Memory's use of it's around here and Violet Evergarden's way up here, then Vye is right there under it. If you'd prefer a sad anime about a slightly more plausible apocalypse, relatively speaking, I've got one more Netflix original for you, Japan Sinks 2020. So named because it's a modern reimagining of the 70s disaster novel Japan Sinks, which tells the story of Japan, well, sinking. This new version follows a half-Japanese family as they struggle to survive a series of off-the-scale earthquakes set to plunge the entire archipelago into the Pacific. Their journey to escape takes them out of the big city and into the countryside, up and down mountains, and even through the compound of a pot-smoking cult, painting along the way a gorgeously cinematic, satirical picture of the nation's complicated, fractured identity. As
I really
Hafu,
dislike the
siblings are
cover
in a unique
design.
position to see the worst and best aspects of
It looks
Japanese culture,
bland.
even as it falls
Well,
apart
maybe it's
all
good.
around them, and it will eventually fall to them and the other survivors to rebuild what's left in an act of kintsugi, the Japanese art of repairing pottery with gold lacquer to make something new and ultimately more
Oh,
repairing
wait.
pottery with left in an act of kintsugi.
Oh, it's kintsugi. Okay, this word. They usually they do that to teapots, broken teapots. They use gold to actually fix a teapot. Using the moral to that that it's better to repair something that is precious rather than replace it. And it's like it's a Japanese tradition that is really beautiful. Kintsugi. I'll actually write this one because I'll forget. Um, mm, mm, mm. There you go.
The Japanese art of repairing pottery with gold lacquer to make something new and ultimately more beautiful than the original. Japan Sinks is almost certainly the most controversial anime on this list, and not just because co-directors Masaki Yuasa and Ho Pyung-gang get very political with all of that. It packs a lot of tragedy into 10 short episodes and never really gives any one sudden, brutal death time to breathe or the survivors time to grieve. Like now and then, here and there, it is brutal in an exhausting way that doesn't really ever let up, frequently denying you the catharsis of a good cry. But that's very intentional, reflecting the way that people have to numb themselves and keep moving forward if they want to survive in the face of such overwhelming death and destruction until they're finally safe enough for the dam to break. And when it does, man, it hits hard. The story also takes some decidedly strange turns, with an outright surreal midsection that'll leave you wondering whether you should be laughing or crying, and a thoroughly cinematic show-don't-tell approach to storytelling that does very little to hold your hand through any of that, which can make it a very rewarding watch or a very frustrating one, depending on how much of yourself you give to it and how much you with that weird shit. This is not a second screen sort of show, and even if you do commit to it, you may end up loving or hating it. But either way, I can promise you one thing: you will not come away bored.
Yeah, this is interesting. Yeah, like, but not for me at all. Like, these are like, it's not colorful enough, I'd say. You know, and really too mundane, too
If you
slice
want
of
more
life.
of the sure thing, though, or just a less weird earthquake story, I also heartily recommend the more down-to-earth
What are the fucking odds that he talks about like 2 fucking earthquake stories though?
Tokyo Magnitude 8.0. A chillingly realistic, low sci-fi tale of a young girl named Mirai and her brother Yuki's harrowing journey to get back home through a near-future Tokyo that's been rocked to its foundations by the inevitable big one. What should be a short trip, Odaiba to Setagaya, a 43-minute drive, hour-long train ride, or 4-hour walk, is transformed into a harrowing multi-day survival odyssey by crumbling infrastructure, reshaped roads, conflict with other desperate survivors, and the ever-present threat of aftershocks. Okay, to be clear, it was near future in 2009. The show's set in 2012, and the robot rescue drones it speculates about are already a reality in 2025, even if they don't look exactly like that. But that doesn't make it any less believable. Studio Bones extensively researched prior earthquakes around the world and interviewed survivors to paint as accurate a picture as possible of life in this sort of disaster zone, and to accurately simulate the physical impact of the disaster itself, which
So this is like interesting. Also like not for me, but like it can be also interesting because it's informative, but traumatizing. I believe you that I believe him that like it must be traumatizing because like it's a bet on realism, like emotional realism,
which
you know.
is pretty spooky to watch, living here 16 years into the 30-year projected window for the big one hitting Kanto that inspired this anime to begin with. But that's not what makes this show so award-winningly heart-wrenching. Tokyo Magnitude 8.0's story will hit close to home no matter how close it is to your actual home, thanks to its rich, grounded characters. Two believably bratty young siblings thrown in way over their heads in a sink-or-swim situation that forces them to grow up fast. Faster, perhaps, than is actually possible for them, even with the help of Mari, the kind, cool surrogate older sister figure who joins them on their journey while trying to reach her own child and mother in the neighboring borough. Tensions ratchet up with each step forward and each passing episode as the stress of the situation frays at each survivor's nerves, and the closer they get to home, the larger the possibility looms that one or more of them won't make it. The disaster itself may be tied to specifics of geography, but the believable human drama at the heart of this disaster story is the sort that could happen anywhere. But of course, I'll leave you to discover for yourself how it all shakes out. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna just go.
Thank you, Mother Basement, for this video. Actually, so about like references like anime that I actually watched Cyberpunk Edge Runners. The only ones that like interest me, Violet Evergarden and Vivi Fluoride song. My recommendation, to be honest, is outside like when it comes to like traumatizing anime, I will give it to you. I will give you only one so you don't struggle with it. What is it called? Kaiji. Yeah. Kaiji. Like, if you want this traumatizing experience, like, fucking watch Kaiji and tell me that, like, tell me it was a good... come and try to fucking tell me that it was a good time. Anyway. Okay, let's keep going. I have like two more that I want to go over. Actually, I'll go for one more. Cause like I'm kind of like done here. Like I'm kind of tired. I still need to fucking do my like content creation duty. Like so yeah. I'll check this out. So like let's talk about WoW. Let's talk about WoW once again. Because favorite game. I should ask myself why the fuck there is no 10-man rating anymore. And well, Irmarix,
10-man rating had its first start in Karazhan.
Irmared actually answers this question, which is I'm actually fucking surprised because basically like 10-man rating is actually easier to set and to actually have like to keep like stable as a guild, you know, because like believe it or not, like WoW is a team game, right? So I'm actually surprised because 10-man raiding is actually reasonable. Finding 10 people every week to fucking raid with is actually easy. Finding 20, it is not. It is, well, it is actually not. But at the same time, classic WoW vibe, you know? Vanilla WoW vibes, original WoW vibes, right? So But yeah, I'm actually curious what killed it. What killed the 10-man rating? Because like I really don't understand. Like it is like more practical to do 10-man rating. It is more safe. There is like less like it's less likely to fucking like not understand what the problem is, who is the problem, and a lot of like strategies are like basically just easier like as 10-man rating. So and now 10-man rating, 20-man rating actually gives the same stuff. So I'm actually curious. Let's check it out.
Karazhan back in the Burning Crusade. It was 10-man rating had its first start in Karazhan back in the Burning Crusade. It was incredibly popular amount of people to bring to a raid, and it made Karazhan very accessible. Later on, they went with a 25-man as a default, and then a Wrath of the Lich King created 10 and 25-man versions of all raids. However, the 25-man mode was always the real version, and 10-man was just kinda playing second fiddle to the
Yes and no, because like basically like it was the case, but at the same time like a lot of people, and once again people tend to forget, like people are casuals, like the fucking like average player got access to fucking 10-man rating and not 25-man rating because it took so much more commitment, and basically you needed to do 10-man rating to get to 25-man rating, right? But also like it made it accessible, and usually the casuals they will only do like 10-man rating and stick to that, like just because of how much organization 25-man rating was back in the day. Now times has changed. I don't know, like
the actual rating. In TOC, Blizzard added
I think rating has changed as a whole. Like it became like easier, more accessible. Basically, like the heroic mode became mythic. Basically, like the normal is basically became like this casual 10-man experience that like people used to have. That's my guess.
heroic 10-man modes, which they carried over to ICC, and they were TOC. Blizzard added heroic 10-man modes, which they carried over to ICC, and they were pretty popular. People liked the 10-man version was actually difficult rather than the easy mode. And since Blizzard was adding different difficulties of raids in Cataclysm, they tried something new. They made it so the 10-man heroic and 25-man heroic would drop equal item level gear. The 25-man mode would just drop more of it. This essentially meant that the 10-man version was legitimate endgame content now, and you could completely ignore the 25-man mode if you wanted, because you can get just as geared as higher player count mode.
And this was better just because like I was a guild leader and raid leader, and during Cataclysm, do you know how fucking like difficult it is to fucking like keep motivated 10 people, just 10 people to fucking come back to the game and be there for raiding. Yeah, do that with fucking 25 people, like, and try to fucking keep a roster up. You know, like if you do not own a small corporation, or like if you're not like basically Method or Liquid, it's really hard. Like if you don't pay people to actually fucking come back, it's not hard per se. It takes a lot of commitment, and this commitment, like, I don't know if it changed, but like back in the day, it was like just like a fucking like yeah, bro, like even 10 men was like such a fucking hustle to fucking get people keep coming and for the fucking rain. But it was like on like just like these like unforgettable moments though, because like like I was there, like I was there in the fucking like Twitch chat that people do when something awesome happens. It was kind of the same.
While also completing difficult bosses. The 25-man version was always thought of as more difficult than the 10-man version, so that's usually the version which would be counted for world first races, but they would still also report on the 10-man heroic first kills as well. At the end of Cataclysm, they added LFR, and in Mist of Pandaria, they added the flex mode, as well as changing heroic to mythic and swapping the names of all the modes around. And at the very end of the expansion with the launch of Warlords of Draenor, Blizzard decided to end 10-man heroics, now called mythics, and instead just made the hardest difficulty be 20-man only, but the new normal and heroic modes could now field 10 to 30 players, and the boss encounters would scale based on how many players you had in your raid group. So with all of this changing around of the modes, what they essentially did was just remove 10-man mythics from the game, and then lowered 25-man mythics down to 20. And ever since then, this has kind of been the end of small raid groups being able to complete competitive content.
It is still great, like, because like you think like 25 to 20 man rating is not a big change. Well, it is. It definitely is. It is like well, basically 1/5, right, of the raid that you do not need to recruit, that you do not need to fucking like. So 20 man is actually like reasonable, but it's just surprising to me because I quit playing after Cataclysm.
Now, if you want to do cutting-end raids, you have no choice but to get 20 people together in order to get any kind of attempts in. You see, at the end of Mista Pandaria, people were really taking advantage of just how gimmicky you could do fights with only 10 people. The world first mythic 10-man version of Garrosh was healed by a single holy priest, and in fact a lot of fights were healed with just one healer, because they would min-max their characters in a way where they didn't really need more healers. Generally, 10-man modes were balanced around having 3
Okay, this is actually interesting because usually you will need 2 to 3, yeah.
of them, but you'd regularly go down to 2 healers on non-healing intensive fights, and healing them with 1 healer was not supposed to be possible, especially not on the end boss of the hardest raid of the current difficulty. So it was really hard for Blizzard to balance the encounters around only 10 people, because of how different so many classes are and what they can bring to a raid. And this was in Mista Pandaria when classes were the most homogenized they've ever been in the game's history. Although that probably also contributed to them being able to do stuff like only bring in 1 healer or 5 mages as all their DPS. At the BlizzCon panel for Warlords of Draenor, about 1/4 of the questions asked in their Q&As were just to revert the change of 20-man Mythic so they could keep doing it with 10 people.
My question goes on to 10-man rating.
So I'm in a 10-man guild that does heroic content on 2 nights a week, and I'm in for some big changes.
Features like normal and heroic mode rating will be available cross-realm.
Yeah, so do you see this kid? This kid does not have the fucking time or organization to fucking like be into a fucking like a 25-man raid. Like it's just like to like think like this is why I was so shocked because like basically like this is the average player. Bro, like the fucking like Twitch streamers that you fucking see, well me as well, right? It's not your average player. This is your fucking average player, dude. That like actually is the consumer, and that actually fucking like matters when it comes to the gaming experience, because veterans and like hardcore gamers like this, like us, we will adapt, but he will actually like not being able to fucking like get like this beautiful experience of raiding because fuck you need to be in a fucking 20-man guild like or 25 back then, and it's really difficult to fucking like do that while going to school, do that while fucking going to do your academics and stuff. So but these days is actually like good enough because like normal is actually like accessible through pickups, so and through intercross, interrealm, like interfaction, fucking like inter everything that they did. It's actually like now they really fixed it, but it's just interesting. But remember that like I always say in my videos, like people fucking like trashing about WoW or like talking about like min-maxing and all this stuff. This is the average player. This is not you, not me. Like this is and the dude before. Like these are the biggest fans, and these are like the people that are like not toxic, and like just like awesome people all around that just wants to fucking play the game and not fucking like not want a desire to fucking like make see their favorite game become like basically a torture simulator, you know.
That being said,
hi, I'm Palthus from Mal'Ganis. Right now, there are 7 times as many guilds that have killed Garrosh on 10-man as opposed to 25. Behind every one of those guilds is a unique culture, leadership, and style.
And this is actually like a really good and beautiful argument.
By going to a 20-man raid, you're completely changing that. And what are you going to do to provide content for people that want to raid hardcore as a 10-man, as a small group?
And do you know what's missing as a 10 man? Like, because they took away 10 man rating, the coziness of fucking like 10 man rating. You just know everyone by name. You just, as a guild leader, this is like, these are like the fucking like delicacies of a guild leader and a raid leader. You just know everyone. You know their quirks. You know what they're all about. Or what's their day, and you have like this kind of like closeted experience, like just like bubbled experience with like a small amount of players, and you get to do like progress, and it's really different compared to 20 man, because like 10 compare it to a concert, right? Like a concert where like only 10 men, like there's like only like one artist and like nine fucking people, right? It's a small concert, cozy, like chill, you know. You make it like one artist and like let's say five artists no, three artists and 17 men 17 people, right? Completely changes the fucking like ambience and just like the way people interact with each other, you know? Like you don't get to make as many friends, and like it just takes away the coziness of like the 10 man rating, which is a shame. This should allow like for, or at least like make it like 12 or 13 for a 13 main rating, you know?
I mean, this is something that we've addressed. The reality is that moving forward, we have to make the decision. Do we want to support multiple different difficulties separately, only at this highest level, or do we want to streamline the system going forward? And our answer is that we have settled on 20-player content. And I completely understand that it is a difficult challenge and it's going to be a difficult adjustment to make, and that many people may be unable to make that adjustment. And that is unfortunate. But there is awesome content waiting for you at the end of the tunnel. And we ask that you bear with us and come with us on that trip, because we think it's going to be awesome when we get there.
Yeah, so this is interesting because like the problem for them is actually the streamlining. So basically making like the game making the game stable when it comes to like updates and pushing for new content and actually releasing new content. So I actually understand this argument absolutely, where it's like you cannot like take away the 25 man because this is a cool like a game design choice, but at the same time like the problem is that like you cannot fucking have 15 teams of game designers that fucking like allow for a double system. So I'd rather like have a less good experience or like a different experience rather than have no experience at all. Like it's better to have like a worse game than have no game at all. And streamlining is really important to basically game developers that this big. So I say understand this argument. Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense to me.
But I do apologize.
You could also get really slow computers and just play heroic.
But Blizzard just brushed off all their concerns and just told them it's easier for them to balance it around 20 people, so they're just gonna go with this, and it will be better for the long-term health of the game. Here's the thing though, 10-man mythic raiding was infinitely more popular than 25-man. The participation rate in 10-man was so high that it was incredibly common for many servers to not have a single 25-man mythic raid team that would clear the current content before the next patch came out, as even the most dead servers could field a 10-man mythic raid team. And there was lots of competition at that more casual level, where
But back then there was interfaction gaming did not exist, and inter-server gaming did not exist as well. So now that it exists, actually it makes sense and it's possible, because like bro, like back then, remember WoW living like actually like choosing like a dead server and being in a dead server. Yeah, exactly. This doesn't fucking like it's not a problem anymore. So actually like new solutions has been found. Like I really like the way like actually like Blizzard took mastered their artistry when it comes to like game design, when it comes to World of Warcraft. There's a lot of problems. Yeah, but they found a lot of solutions, you know.
The vast majority of WoW players occupy. So if 10-man raiding was so much more popular than 25-man, why did they decide to go 20-man as a default? Well, it's a combination of balance and encounter design. The 10-man mythic modes were just straight up easier than 25-mans. No one at the top level who competed for world first races took the 10-man race seriously, even if they were reported on rather seriously at the time. Everyone knew that the real race was in the 25-man modes, and that's where they would dedicate most of their time and effort. Although some of the top guilds...
Yeah, but like the races, fucking red races, no one fucking cares. It concerns like fucking like 5 people, and so this is like basically not arguments, and like I understand this, but I understand why he talks about it. It's actually like it's important to talk about it, but it's also important to remember that like world first races concern 5 people in the world. Okay, like basically like a couple guilds. That's it.
Did take 10-man seriously to an extent, and would do them almost exclusively, with Paragon being one of the most notable, as their guild got a ton of world first kills under their belt, and converted completely to 10-mans in Mist of Pandaria. Although even they admitted that they would rather do 25-man, but they didn't have a roster in order to support that. So they were kind of forced into doing 10-man onlys, and they kind of disbanded once they could no longer do that. Because part of the popularity of the 10-man mode was that it was way easier to get a roster of 10 good people and keep them together than it was to keep a roster of 25. Jeff Bezos is said to have a philosophy where work teams should not be bigger than what could be supported with 2 boxes of pizza at a party. And the average pizza has about 8 slices, which means less than 16 people. He says small groups just work together much better and it's harder to manage bigger ones.
This is actually like a good argument and a good quote. Yeah, and like he doesn't mention it, but like the coziness, just like how comfortable it was to fucking raid as a 10-man guild, a 10 people guild, 10 people raid, 10-man raid. Like, oh, comfortable. You just saw the homies and you just saw the friends and we're just chilling. Now it's just like, maybe make it 15. I don't fucking know, but like 15 will be nice. 10 will be the greatest, technically. Like, but streamlining is streamlining, and better have WoW with updates than WoW being dead. So I'll take it.
Which is definitely true when it comes to World of Warcraft raiding as well. Although encounter difficulty was even more ridiculous once you got hyper-competitive players min-maxing every single little thing of a 10-man encounter, which were usually balanced after they did the 25-man modes, since they would usually just scale down encounters rather than design something for 10-man, except for 1 or 2 fights per raid where they would design those around 10-man exclusively and then scale them up, and they were actually balanced appropriately for World First Raiders. So a lot of people who took 10-man Mythic seriously would have really sacky comps, like only running and stacking whatever the best class or utility was during that expansion, like maybe just bringing 5 hunters or 5 mages, and bringing the least amount of healers possible so they can have more DPS. In fact, there were some competitive...
It is actually like since I saw a problem like this, it is actually legitimate to fucking take it away. But again, the problem is that like it concerns like 5 fucking people. So I think like the mistake that they actually did about this is just that like they concerned themselves a little bit too much about like the competitive scene of like World First. Actually, I'm lying, because like these days, well, back in the day, World First, no one cared. These days, actually, fucking like World First, WoW is actually popular again. Popular. Well, it was never this popular before. It was like at least from like a YouTube and streaming, like basically a content creation standpoint. So, and also like an entertainment standpoint. Like you even see like arenas being like tournaments being like actually like watched. So this is actually like it makes sense. It makes sense, but because it became popular back in the day, was it? Nah, dude. Like it wasn't that popular. The fucking World First. It was like the fucking like video was like found like of paragons and stuff. Was found on a fucking dead website of like a guild that will never recruit you, and that fucking like got the title and no one really cared, and the World First like list was on another dead website that like 10 people that were like really just curious about it fucking watched it.
10-man teams that tried to bring no healers, and some of those teams actually had some success. That's just the level of craziness people were trying in the 10-man modes, where Blizzard really wants people to bring a mix of everything to a fight. That's why they give a whole bunch of buffs to different classes in order to encourage you to bring a priest for fortitude, a demon hunter for debuffs, a warrior for their shouts, a warlock for their further utility, and etc, etc. And since Blizzard was just designing their fights for the 25-man modes anyway, and then just scaling them.
Just like it was in vanilla, like back in vanilla and back in like TBC and Wrath of the Lich King, this philosophy was adopted and it was like fucking like legitimate and it was functioning. I don't know why I feel that like these days actually it's too streamlined where like there is not enough buffs per class or utility per specialization and classes. Where like just like make one or two buffs per spec and class, and then it makes like it doesn't matter if it's like really important or not. It just makes the game more interesting, spicier. You know what I mean?
Down afterwards, it obviously made sense for them to pick 20 man as their new default hardest difficulty, rather than the mode that they bounce around as an afterthought. Because it was just more fun for them to throw everything at the wall because they knew a 20-man roster could realistically bring something that was needed for a particular fight. Like if they absolutely needed a Warlock to have Gateway in order to avoid the spikes in Painsmith, for example. So because Blizzard was designing them for the 25 mans anyway, and they didn't like how many shenanigans the world's first 10-player Mythic groups were getting into, it was kind of a no-brainer for them just to remove that mode and go into 25 man. Like they all wanted to design for anyway. And that's pretty much why 10-man raiding died. No one at the competitive level took it seriously, and it was just the fun mode full of jank. However, that doesn't really disregard the fact that 10-man raiding was very popular, since it was mostly popular because it was just easier to do than the 25-man. But that doesn't mean
It was not easier, it was more accessible on a guild level, community level, and this is why a lot of people like actually remember the first expansions, like well, TBC and Wrath of the Lich King, and Mob and Kata, rather than the other ones, because they were able to fucking like have friends and a roster that like they actually fucking knew.
You should throw it out either. If Blizzard were to convert the 20-man mythics today into 10-mans, they would be horribly unbalanced because the game is just not designed around that. But they could attempt to fix a lot of those problems by just removing class-specific buffs. A priest doesn't need to give fortitude, they can just give everyone 5% more health baseline. You don't need a monk or demon hunter to give debuffs to a boss, just lower the boss's health by 10%.
Or add more and just like add more like buffs and just like buffs or debuffs that are unique to classes, but based on specializations. Like just fucking like flood with flood buffs with specializations, and with that you get like a like homogeneous chaos, you know. And but like it in game design this actually fix things, because like it allows it removes abuse. And also like one of the ways that like in game design you fix things is actually by making the option of the interesting non-min-maxing triad option like actually more like by making it interesting, and not by because it's interesting to have like special buff, and by making it powerful. So basically you search for variety, well, make it interesting to fucking like look for it, you know. You search for variety when it comes to like your raid like your raid roster. So you try to make it so that there is no like 15 times the same class. Well, make it the player will always choose the fucking easier answer and the fucking gearing answer, like the fucking successful answer. So you have to make it not like better, but not only better, but better and more interesting. And I think that like more buffs and like more like specialization buff and debuff identity, like so basically utility identity can fucking help with that. Because like these days like there's like 3 buffs that I see and that's it.
The Warlock's portals are definitely a lot harder to just fix easily, but so was Bloodlust for the longest time. The way they fixed that was just by giving it to other classes and having it on a consumable. If they just made an item that you can place down and it would simulate the portal, well, there you go. Create items which can just simulate the buffs if you really want them to stay in the game, like they used to have anyway before they removed them for some reason. If they really wanted mechanics to require certain classes with immunities, just give more immunities to more characters. I remember in Legion they took away the 90% damage reduction of dispersion from Shadow Priests because they didn't feel like they should have a quasi-immunity while also being able to do lots of damage. If a fight is so easy that you can heal it with one player, maybe they could design the fights around 10 people instead of scaling it down from 20 from the get-go. What I'm trying to say is there are fixes to all the problems that they had, they just don't want to fix them. For the combined reason that they prefer the bigger raid sizes to design around anyway, and also the community of World First Raiders didn't take it seriously. Which really reminds me of Heroes of the Storm, Blizzard's MOBA game which ultimately failed and is now maintenance mode. When it
Yeah, this is true. But they actually did a bet on. They really truly did a bet on mythic rating and the popularity of like world first competition, because back in the day, like even 5 years ago, that no one fucking heard about like race of world first, and as we speak, like the undermine world first actual raid first race actually ended, and it was actually fucking popular, and it was like one of the most popular things on Twitch. So they actually took a bet as well, did a bet as well, that like it will be actually like entertaining and something that like so taking in account how seriously the 5 guilds that actually get to fucking compete will get into it. Well, actually it was a successful bet. But so technically, like my argument about like for that like is caring about the high hand type of player that like doesn't exist for like the average consumer is that will never be the average consumer, is actually a bet that they actually won, because world first race is actually like popular. So good job on you, Blizzard, because like this is actually a bet in game design that they could have lost. And world race first could have been like just like something forgotten, just like other games tried, and just like they also like tried, let's say, with like rated battlegrounds, or like other ideas that like didn't fucking like work out.
First launched, it was trying to compete with 2 pre-established very popular MOBAs, and Heroes of the Storm was able to stand out a bit by having incredibly unique characters that just could not exist in the other 2 games, like Murky, Cho'Gall, or Abathur. Cho'Gall literally requires 2 players working together in order to control a single character, and Abathur is only slightly stronger than a minion, and basically contributes to the fight by sitting in base all game and just providing buffs, while his slugs slowly push every 15 seconds. And these 3 characters were incredibly popular in the game and very well loved. So what Blizzard did was just never try anything like this ever again, because they wanted it to become an esport, and these kinds of characters cause problems in competitive environments. After Cho'Gall, I believe, Blizzard only ever released heroes that could compete in the meta without any jank, before putting the game in maintenance mode. They could have easily just made Heroes of the Storm the fun MOBA to play, but I don't think they want that. I think one of the core philosophies of some of the developers there is for their games to have a competitive scene. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that, as Nintendo does the complete opposite with Super Smash Bros. They hate that people take that game seriously and try to make it as casual as possible. It's just on the pendulum scale of where.
And you can see that like it actually works, like Smash Bros. Melee and Smash Bros. Is actually like highly competitive because it's designed casually. And it's really interesting to see. Yeah, some things are broken, but like it's really like it's not the biggest scene, but yeah, you need to find in between. But like to the credit of Blizzards, they never fucking did a MOBA before, and still it's a good looking MOBA that like not a lot of people played, especially right now. But still, it's a fucking like valuable game. And game that actually like is legitimate enough. So doing this mistake, well, basically they lost like as much as they won the bet for like world first races, they won the bet about like being a popular for it to be a popular esport to watch and to actually like participate in, as they lost the bet with Heroes of the Storm. Is it bad? I mean, it's still in maintenance mode, and the thing is that, like, they could just reforge it, so maybe there's a hope, you know, like, I love Blizzard, so I won't, like, yeah.
Where Blizzard leans, I think they would rather if all their games had a competitive scene, and definitely make that a priority as well. And since 10-man raiding is kind of on the scale of casual, it makes sense why they would drop it based on their philosophies. Even if I think they really should not have and should bring it back. In the same way, I wish they would make more creative characters like Cho'Gall or Abathur in Heroes of the Storm. And here's the funny thing about WoW when it comes to catering to the casual player base. They actually stood out in vanilla WoW because they were the only MMO to cater to the casual player. In fact, MMO players at the time thought of WoW as the baby game because it didn't even de-level your player if you died too many times. And current WoW is still incredibly casually friendly. In fact, all of the other difficulties of raids are very friendly towards casual guilds.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that like there is like a leeway to a more complicated game. Basically, you get like the best of both worlds, right? Which is actually like something really great. While at the same time, like yeah, I don't know, like yeah. Anyway,
they just want there to be a hard mode to exist only for the most hardcore players. Which is a nice carrot on the stick for people playing the game, as they know they can always just join a Mythic Guild if they want to do the hardest content, but they don't have to. And if the current system works, and has been the one they've been using for the past 4 expansions, doesn't that mean there's no reason to try to make a 10-man mode Mythic now? Personally, I don't think so. For them to implement 10-man Mythics, that would require more work on their part to try to make the mode not a cakewalk for competitive players. But currently, Mythics are already a cakewalk for competitive players, after the first month, as Blizzard regularly nerfs encounters after World Firsts are achieved anyway. Take the current Mythic Sylvanas for example. He was incredibly difficult in a finely tuned fight within the first week or two. However, the version that guilds are working on today is just straight up an easier encounter than what existed during that first week.
Yeah, but this is like also like something that I remember when I talked to you about the average player and like left you with like basically like the teenager that like everyone tend to forget when it comes to gaming, that is actually the person that is playing the game, enjoying the game, and actually really loving the game, and not you, the middle-aged gamer that actually fucking like have complaints and fucking like understand what metagaming is and whatever the fuck. Well, basically like nerfing after that makes it so like we are not playing vanilla anymore for 20 years. Well, like a guild can fucking just like bash its fucking roster against a fucking like a Blackwing lair for like 6 months and not fucking get any results. And this is really the difference. Like basically like this doesn't exist, and this is a good thing, because like you want to allow your players to fucking see the high end and actually fucking finish the high end, similarly that other games like solo driven story driven games, like let's say Shadow of Colossus, Halo, Gears of War, God of War, right? Like games like this, that like the way that like they allow it, because like it's so frustrating to fucking like not get access to it. And like, do you know how many guilds fucking finished next Travis back in the day? Not a lot. Is this a good thing? No. Will it have been better if more guilds back in next Ramas in vanilla will have finished next Ramas? Because it will have been nerfed the way that like Iramarad is describing. Yeah, definitely. Like there's no like question about it. Definitely. Like, but it makes for like the stuff of Legends where like you see like truly difficult content and accessible that used to exist. So like there are like some good to it, but it's just like yeah. Like think about like next Ramas, right? If it had these updates back in the day, will it have been better for like the gaming community like invested in the game? Yes. These days, well, then what does it mean? That these days it's a good thing, like, and that like people shouldn't fucking like that you should be happy about this, and like and not criticize like the fact that that fucking like people get to fucking finish the fucking like content, you know, and be done with it and wait for the next content to roll in.
For just a multitude of reasons, including just the availability of gear and buffs to certain classes and specs and equipment that were put out over time. Current mythics are only hard for the first few weeks. Then it's kind of a joke to the competitive community. So, if the current version is already a cakewalk to competitive players after only a few weeks, and many non-first world raids have a lot of fun progressing on those fights anyway, even though they're vastly easier than they were in the first 2 weeks, what exactly is wrong with 10-man versions being the exact same? They'll basically be easier than the 20-mans from the get-go, sure, but I'm failing to see how that's exactly a problem. It would require them to balance the game around them again, but just because that's difficult doesn't mean it shouldn't be tried. If Blizzard wants to create fights with knowing they can realistically have one of every spec in there, then they just need to go the bloodless route and just give more options to more classes. I think Blizzard cares about class homogenization more than the players actually do. As how many shamans are really upset that the mage can use bloodlust instead of them? And as a priest main, I don't even like giving powered fortitude to people. I would be 100% fine if they just removed it from the game, or just turned it into ability which wasn't a buff you used once before a fight. So, in conclusion, 10-man mythic raiding is currently not possible at all with the way the game is designed, and would take some real work on the developer's part in order to make it ready. But seeing as Blizzard and the competitive community prefer the bigger raid sizes, this is probably not going to happen.
Yeah, and also one thing that we didn't mention is actually the storytelling and what it allows when it comes to like just the immersion and the experience, the gaming experience that that's bigger raid scale allows, because 10-man raiding, fighting an army doesn't make sense, right? 25-man raiding, fighting an army makes sense, you know. And this kind of like logic of like, well, it makes sense, and because of that, well, it just like stimulate the right fucking like the right thing. It just like makes the game realistic enough for you to enjoy it more. And this is something that like you didn't mention, but that is also important, because like random like a 10-man army fighting Sylvanas or the jailer, like realistically you do not get to fucking like create like such a grandiose fights if but you get to do it if it's an army of 20 heroes. You get me? So yeah.
Even though 10-man mythics were the more popular version back when they existed for 2 expansions.
Thank you, Iramar, and like this was actually the answer that I was looking for. So the death of 10-man rating actually quite legitimate. I understand it, and I understand it from like the Blizzard standpoint, and really interesting that like they really bet. So the conclude like they really bet on the fact that like world first races. So this was like 3 years ago, right? This video. So Blizzard really bet back in the day that like world first rating will become popular, just like they did with Heroes of the Storm, like competitive scene, and it actually succeeded. It actually succeeded because like Undermine got released like less than 3 months ago, and the world first was actually fucking popping off on Twitch, on YouTube, on everywhere. So and like this was like great moments. So yeah, this was like a really good video. This was really actually answered my question. So thank you, Ramard. This guy does like really good videos about WoW. You should check him out. Anyway, so yeah. Okay, so I am done for the day. I'm actually not done for the day, my bro, like my friends. I'm actually not done for the day. I have like content creation duty. I have to fucking like upload stuff and like actually make things make sense. So, but for the stream, this is over. So I'll see you later. And as always, be toxic. Bye. See ya.